everybody. But we're also on tape. Kind of. We are deep down in the bowels of Elisa Music. Episode 122 of Kamloops Last Week. Christopher Foulds, Magic Mike, and Bill.
Trying to look a little happier. My daughter watches a show every week from Victoria and says I always look miserable at the beginning. So
why is that, do you think?
It's just my visage, but I'm trying to be happier there.
So Mike doesn't look so happy today. Oh, no.
I brought in the New Year's with a new friend, COVID. So our entire office staff got shut down. We were doing inventory and started with Monica and then just leaked through all the way. And we actually closed the store yesterday for the first time.
Wow. And you made Monica sleep in the RV while you were
She made me sleep in the RV. This time I was stuck in the basement.
Oh.
Even though I didn't have COVID first, and then I contracted COVID. So there we are.
How was your holidays?
They were nice. Yeah, I went over to see my sister in West Kelowna, and my in-laws came over on Christmas Eve. So had a really nice Christmas.
Big dinner?
Actually. Yeah, with my sister being Italian. Yeah, it's huge dinner. And for the first time this year, my sister actually said, "Mom and Dad, you're not to do anything in the kitchen.
Oh, wow.
We're taking over." So that was a big
passing of the torch there.
Big passing of the torch, yeah. And I think it was a reluctant passing on my mom and dad's part.
Yeah.
And my dad couldn't help but give a few little pointers on on the turkey and cutting. But I think it went really well.
Cool. What about you?
Oh, nice, quiet Christmas. Just me and the wife and
Atticus.
My kids came up from the coast and they spent some time. And Isabel and my wife's parents came over, and that was it.
Cool.
Nice. Yep.
Right on. Good show today. Great show today. We're doing our top 10 news stories of 2023, our annual top 10. We'll get Mike's thoughts on them. We'll hear what you have to say. Bill, if you want to say anything, you're free to do so. We also have one of our best guests of all time, Mark Madryga, Global BC Chief Meteorologist Mark Madryga. He'll come on and talk to us about this weird winter we're having.
Yeah.
You never said anything about 22 yet.
Oh, 120. Is this 122 or 120?
Yeah.
122? 122 is, it's 122 is, interestingly enough, it's the hardest hit baseball ever recorded by O'Neill Cruz. Last year, a rookie with the Pittsburgh Pirates, August 24th, 2022. Exit velocity, 122.4 miles an hour, which is the hardest ball ever hit based on the tracking since 2015.
So that's after it comes off the bat?
After it comes off the bat, it went off the left field wall at PNC Park and Robert Clemente wall. And 122.4 miles an hour, which beat the former mark by Aaron Judge. It only goes back to 2015. People in the know, they say,
what? Did you get the exact number right?
What? Yeah. Yes.
People in the know, they say that Mickey Mantle may have hit it as hard back in the day. They didn't measure back then. But O'Neill Cruz hit. He's a rookie, and he's with Pittsburgh, which is you have a soft spot for the small market franchise. 22 is also a good number because 22 is the date next month that the spring training starts in the MLB. We can't wait. It's 49 days from now. The Cubs, or the Dodgers and the Padres play. And we hate both those teams because they try to win championships by buying it. And then the biggest day is 2 days later, 24th, when the Giants play the Cubs. So we can't wait. That's only 49 days away, so that's great.
The Giants are going to disappoint you again. You know that.
No, they're coming on. They got Lee.
What is wrong with you? How do you know that?
I don't even think he actually rehearsed that.
No,
22.
absolutely. I don't think so either.
And he knew the exact 122.4 Rain Man.
Yeah, totally.
O'Neill Cruz, look him up. He's a good. He ain't gonna last long there because they can't afford him.
Goodwill Hunting.
Anyway, here we go.
Okay, Maca Wrench. This is big news, Mike. You didn't
drop the ball on this.
I dropped the ball on it.
Fork up your money there.
Yeah.
So we went and got without you our pickup, and Foulds went there. And
I went there and I met.
Andrea.
Very nice lady there, and we met in the parking lot. We both got shooed off the. You wait in front of the airport.
Yeah.
The security guard was quite aggressive. We both
really?
We got put back into the pen, into the parking lot thing, and she was waiting, and she had a cooler, and she had. I got our order. It's home in my freezer. I got some pork and chicken. And
lamb and chicken.
You got lamb and you got lamb. Anyway, it's waiting there for you, and it's wrapped in those great butcher wraps, and it's written down. And she says she's hoping more people will order from it.
That's Big Mike's mom.
Oh, that's Big Mike's mom. Okay,
and
nice lady. She loves
the show. I actually owe her some garlic bread.
She says hi to you.
Yeah.
Likes Mike, likes Bill. Yep. It's good.
I owe her some garlic bread from a party about 20 years ago, I was really drunk in their house and was so hungry, and went to the freezer and got the garlic bread and started trying to eat it frozen. So that's coming your way.
Yeah, well, the good thing about Maca Ranch is that I tried one of the pork, was it chopped?
You tried one already?
Yeah, and it's unbelievable. It's really, really good. Really good. I fried it, actually. I was going to put it in the barbecue. I put it on a cast iron pan because it's really good. But the...
did you start feeling really happy afterward?
Really happy. I felt
the animals are really
I felt
happy.
one with nature. But the cool thing is, I mean, think about this. You're buying off a local, people who started their own thing, grass-fed.
Turtle Valley.
It's as regionally local as possible. But not only that, I just had to drive to the airport, 10 minutes from my house, pick it up there.
They deliver to Kamloops, Mike.
Yep.
It's awesome. I need to get some lamb chops for sure.
It's very good.
My mom has a great recipe for mushroom pork chops and what she calls sticky rice, which I just realized not all rice is...
Oh, that's like the Asian rice. I use that now all the time. It's basmati.
That's all I ever knew.
Use basmati
when I get this
now,
flaky rice that doesn't stick together, I'm like, what is this crap?
No, it's good.
But she uses cream and mushroom soup as a base,
Yeah, that's
and
what I do,
it
too.
basically fries it and boils it in the pan. It's
we had that when I was a
fantastic.
kid all the time. It's great.
I'm craving that now.
Yeah, me too.
Rice I'm eating a lot more rice now. My special new...
Probably brown rice because you're the health kick, right? Because white rice is not supposed to be good for you.
No, mostly it's been white rice, and she's very particular though. She doesn't think that the rice here is quite up to par. We get the red rooster rice from Superstore, which is like passable, but she still craves her Iranian rice. Great story there for me.
Fantastic.
Maca Ranch though, one more thing on them. They deliver, as you mentioned already, but hormones, Mike, what do they think about those?
They don't like hormones.
Steroids.
Yeah. They don't use those.
Pesticides.
We use those.
It's safe to say that Lance Armstrong does not shop at Maca Ranch.
He might now. He might now. Hopefully he's changed his ways. Brand new website, stunningmacaranch.ca. Find him on Facebook, Instagram, Maca Ranch. We love Maca Ranch. Now, this is a special little segment. I don't think, well, you kind of know what's coming here. Or is Mark here already?
Mark's not on yet. No.
Okay, so we'll just talk about this until Mark comes on. Top 50 shows of all time. Well, I was on Facebook scrolling, and I keep in mind things that might really trigger folds. So I found this list. It was the top, I think we can do this slide now, Bill. The top 50 shows, binge-worthy shows of all time.
Of all time.
And I noticed right away, or top 30 here, number 30 on this list is The Wire. Yeah. And I know for a fact that Foldsy, that's like number 1 or 2 for you.
It's got to be, yeah.
So I just tagged Folds in Facebook and I said, what do you think about this? And this is his response. He says, seems to me those who compiled this list believe that TV was invented this century. Absolute joke. Most, if not all, of those on this list are good shows. Of course, The Wire should be top 3 without a doubt. But the more salient question, says Foldsy, where is MASH? Where is Cheers? Where is Senior Elsewhere?
Staying Elsewhere. I was talking into the thing.
You were talking?
Yeah, Staying Elsewhere.
I think
Hill Street Blues.
I think the wine was talking.
No.
Where is Hill Street Blues? Where is Homicide Life on the Street? Where is ER? Barney Miller? Where's Soap? Where's Fernwood Tonight? Maude? Mary Hartman? You said twice. Was it Mary Hartman?
That's the name of the show. Mary Hartman.
Larry Sanders Show. I think it's Larry Sanders, right?
Yeah.
Beverly Hillbillies.
He says.
But
any fantastic show from the 60s all the way to the 90s. And How the Hell, I think he meant, can Friends be here, yet Seinfeld and Curb are not.
Exactly.
These lists are stupid, he said.
They are stupid. Well, they're just dumb because all they do is provoke anger from people like me who know better. And it's like you can't, TV started with the DuPont Network and ABC and NBC back in the late 40s, early 50s.
Give us an exact year, please.
Well, and you have great shows back. Sid Caesar's Cavalcade of Stars, right? I mean, the Jackie Gleason Show. Come on. You can't make lists like this unless you say, okay, here's the best.
Is that binge-worthy TV though? Like binge.
The Honeymooners. One of the greatest shows of all time. Faulty Towers. They only made
Faulty
13,
Towers should be on.
13 episodes and all, and you can watch those over and over like Seinfeld because they're so good.
I agree.
Flight of the Conchords.
Flight of the Conchords is a great show.
Over and over. Yeah.
Prison Break it doesn't even match up with half of the shows out there.
The fact that Better Call Saul is so far down the list.
Yes, that was a great show.
That's an abomination.
It's an abomination. Anyway, this is just a list by someone who doesn't really know their history, and which is a problem with the world today. Because if you're going to do a list like this, you have to compartmentalize it into like maybe here's the best shows of the early 80s or 85 to 90 because there's so many good shows out there.
Some of those old shows just don't hold up.
They do hold up. All the family holds up. Everything holds up.
No, they're cringeworthy to watch.
That's
a lot of those
because
shows
you have no attention span. You're all gnats, running around with your phones, doing all this all the time. You got to just slow down.
We're all gnats?
Yeah, you're all gnats.
Who? Anyone under the age of 45?
Well, you and all the 40-years and down. You guys don't understand. You're on your phones all the time. You want to be instantly gratified. You're all this Instagram nation. Just slow down, man. Watch them.
What does that have to do with Jackie Gleason?
Just read a book. Jackie Gleason was one of the greatest. One of the greatest. The Odd Couple. The Odd Couple. There's another one.
But I do have to say, The Wire being 30 here, it's an absolute embarrassment.
It is embarrassment.
Well. They got Big Bang Theory #8.
No. It's a funny show, but it's The Wire is like, people. I've talked to people who say, well, I couldn't get into it. It took me a couple times just to get into it. Once you get into it, you can't stop.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to understand the whole dialect. But The Wire is, and this isn't an opinion. It's factual. It's one of the top 2 shows of all time. Homicide: Life on the Street, same creator, David Simon, should be up there too.
I think that for me, Breaking Bad is #1.
Well, is Mad Men on here?
That should be on here too.
Yeah.
Instead, you've got these. What else do you have on here that shouldn't be on?
Criminal Minds. I don't know about that show.
The Mandalorians should not be on there.
That's a Star Trek thing.
Yeah, no, Star Wars. Mm-hmm. Bill's pissed off right now. I think we got Mark Madryga coming on here, and I wonder what his favorite show is of all time. We should ask him.
Yep.
Is Mark there? I think you can kind of hear him.
I am here. If you can hear me, okay.
There he is.
Hey, guys.
Gotta amp the volume a bit.
Yeah, I'm trying.
There you go. Nope, we heard you just now.
I think it's on our end, the issues as usual.
There you go.
Anything from the 70s was great. You mentioned a bunch. I loved Mary Tyler Moore. I thought it was very clever. But more recently, Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yes. Hey, the final season. Final season starts February 2nd.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Good. I'm still a couple of years behind.
There you go.
So don't spoil it for me.
No.
If you had to pick your favorite show of all time, then you'd say it would be Curb?
Yeah. I just watched it so recently. I guess it's up there for sure.
That's my top 5.
Seinfeld was great.
Yeah.
There's some good things from the 70s too.
Yeah.
I was a big Get Smart fan way back. I still like Get Smart. I mean, that's 50 years ago or more, but very funny, very funny.
Missed it by this much.
They did a remake, a movie remake, right? Wasn't it like
Steve Carell? Yeah, that's sacrilege. It's horrible. No.
Yeah.
Don Adams is the only one.
I still use the cone of silence.
Yeah, the cone of silence. That's right. Yeah.
And the Chief.
The Chief. That's right. Agent 99. And what's her name? She was quite the babe. His Barbara Feldman.
Barbara Feldman. Yeah.
Beautiful. Can you say that these days? She was a very attractive lady. She was his agent assistant there. Yes.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Can we? Because I love this intro video so much. Can we just play that for fun, and then we'll start asking Mark about weather questions?
And now, Global BC Chief Meteorologist Mark Madryga on Kamloops Last Week.
Our PA man still has a throat issue going.
Our PA man always sounds like he's constipated. I don't know. We need to speed him up there a bit.
I like the picture of me from 20 years ago. That's perfect. Thank you.
How's the holiday season, Mark?
Yeah, Happy New Year. Christmas night I caught, and I hadn't been sick in 5 years. For some reason, Christmas night, the flu hit me hard. So I'm just getting over it now. Still a bit of a cough. So don't make me laugh, guys, because I'll start to cough and I won't be able to stop. So keep it cool.
We'll try that. I know. Let's talk about the weather then. Foulds, you have some questions?
Well, yes, it's no laughing matter, because if you own a ski hill, or if you're selling snow blowers, or if you're a retailer with a lot of winter gear, you're probably nervous still, because it's January 4th today. So on the 1st and 2nd, they're playing pickleball here in Kamloops. They're playing tennis here in Kamloops. It's very warm. It's very dry. Last year, 2023, Kamloops was, I think, the driest and warmest year on record since 1893. Last year, we had 148 millimeters of precipitation, which is less than half of the 277. What's going on?
Now, those stats are, I had to write some of those down. You have a great memory.
Rain Man.
Oh, man.
Well,
I wrote them down just in case we went over them, but I don't need to recite them back to you. Yeah, it was crazy dry. I mean, it's already a dry climate, as you know, with the semi-arid climate, the sagebrush, the tumbleweeds. We get that rain shadow effect, snow shadow effect coming over the coastal range. But it was ridiculously dry month by month. We ended up with 34 centimeters of snow for the year. Most of that was last February. 64 is the average. But yeah, tied or beat the all-time record for precipitation, the all-time lowest, and it was also tying for the warmest on record. What happened? Well, these things happen. That's what weather's all about. It varies year to year. And, we were right in a super El Nino or a strong El Nino. And we think that's the reason for the very mild start to this winter with the low precipitation, very low, minimal snowfall, dry, brown all around us here. A little bit of snow higher up, of course. But it's probably more complicated than that. The year I can't really say for sure, but the last few months, it's the El Nino that's been a little drier, certainly much, and a lot warmer especially, and that's been the story on the south coast. So right now, all I have to say is the El Nino. Certainly, there could be some variability in the climate. I mean, we're in a very dry stretch here. I remember growing up in Kamloops, we had years like this in the latter part of the year, like 76. The 60s were snow belt years, but there were a few in there. I remember listening to the radio, and you're gonna have to wax your skis rather than go skiing here in December in Kamloops because there's no snow. So it has happened before.
Well, is there? The first snowpack readings, I think, will come out on January 8th, and they're going to be lower than normal. But what does it look like down there with respect to grouse, Seymour, and Cypress?
Well, bare, but snow is certainly in the cards for Friday and into next week. It's going to be colder and drier. But it's been so bare. It's been terrible. At least the three big ones here, Cypress, Seymour, and grouse. But snow is coming, at least some. It's going to get into a colder stretch. The longer term for Kamloops and here where I am in the south coast is with El Nino, still strong all spring. The prognosis is for above average temperatures, likely below average precipitation, and not a lot of snow in the mountains. That said, we're going to get little spurts of snow here locally and through Kamloops, but it just doesn't show that it's going to be wetter than average heading into the spring, which is exactly what we want. We want wetter than average, cooler than average, build the snowpack around Kamloops in the southern interior and here on the south coast. It's not necessarily going to happen. I mean, week to week, it'll vary somewhat, but overall, it still looks dry and mild for many months ahead.
I saw you more on a national scale. I saw you retweeted, I don't know if it was today or yesterday, but Christmas 2023, one of the greenest observed in Canada. December 2023, warm across Canada, especially in the prairies. What's going on there?
Yeah, typically you don't have the same kind of warmth with El Nino across the entire country, so it's not easy to explain, but we think the El Nino effect is strong across the nation. It was above average for temperatures in December, big time. Of course, we know about Kamloops and the south coast, and well above average, all the way up to the Arctic, through the prairies. Some places, a lot of them had the warmest December on record. So if I could tell you exactly what's going on besides the effect of the strong El Nino, I would, but I just don't know. I'm just going to lean on this El Nino. So far, it's going to stay strong. All my charts, my long-term charts, and I mean, we have enough trouble forecasting 3 days in advance sometimes because it changes so quickly. But the long-range seasonal forecasts that come out from the computer still show above average temperatures for a lot of Western Canada and near or a bit below average precipitation, thanks likely to El Nino. So I'm going to lean on that through the next few months. Week to week, it may change a bit. Like next week, it's going to get a lot colder, for example. But yeah, not a lot of great news to really build the snowpack for Western Canada.
Is there any way to know, and I know you just mentioned long-term forecasting is very hard, is there any way to know when or if the El Nino will, I know it's usually every couple of years it flips and then La Nina comes in, but how long is this El Nino? Are we going to see it going into next winter or summer?
Great question, and I mean, it can change, but the forecast models now, and I just read about it yesterday or the day before, showing the El Nino strong heading into the latter part of spring, meaning likely warm and a bit drier, heading into spring. But the long-term computer models are taking it away later this year and moving back to more of a neutral condition late this year, late 2024. So not an El Nino, not a La Nina, kind of in the middle of the road. So it looks like, based on this, that El Nino will go away later this year, so not necessarily 2 in a row. But it's pretty strong right now, for sure.
Is this dryness kind of a worry for fire season again already?
Yeah, it's huge up here for fire season and the river. I drove back from Vernon yesterday, and the river, the South Thompson River coming out of the Shuswap, you can almost hop over across the riverbank out in Dallas. It got a little bit fuller as you came in, but it's the lowest anyone here has, they say, we've ever seen. There's still lots of water in there, but it's nothing like it was. We're fortunate that it'll replenish with snow, but down where you live, you rely on the reservoirs from rain, right? For your water, so it's a big difference.
True. Yeah, true here. We rely on the snow melt in the interior during the spring to fill up the Fraser, for example, down here. But yeah, it's more the rainfall and the local snow melt here. Yeah, I looked at the Thompson this morning, the South Thompson at Kamloops, and it was 1.9 meters or so, which is about just under 7 feet. And I can't recall it that low when I was growing up in Kamloops. I just don't recall it. Possibly it was close to that, but it is so low right now. And I know it was very low last March and April, similar to this, very low. Mm-hmm. Then we had the snowpack melt and it got up high.
Really high.
Didn't set any records, no big flooding. And then it quickly dropped off all summer, and we're left with very little in the Thompson. So, yeah, it's an issue. Again, given the long-term forecast of probably drier, probably warmer overall between now through to the spring. Unless that turns around and gives us a nice, cool, wet spring, we're going to have some issues this summer for sure, with lack of snowpack, dry forests, and fire situations.
Well, I know in Alberta they're already preparing for another bad fire season. They're already still fighting 64 up there. It's crazy. They're still smoldering. So I guess we just have to prepare for possibly another smoky season. Hope not, but it doesn't look good.
Yeah. Yep. For sure. Prepare now. Think about it. Unless we get a lot of rainfall and mountain snowpack, it's going to be a huge issue again this summer, for sure.
Did you have any more notes there for us on your pad, or was that the last one?
What have I got? No, just the stats for the year, the driest on record and tied for the warmest in 1979. I kind of remember that year. It was so dry. January, February was bitterly cold that year. I mean, it varies year to year.
Soccer Bowl.
I know that for Kamloops, in the article here, our records go back to 1897, I think it is. Now, that's not consistently for the airport. I'm kind of a stickler for details, but it's true. Our records go back to the late 1890s. There was a station downtown for a long time, from 1897 till the 80s, but the airport's been reporting since 51. So it varies slightly place to place, but yeah, overall our records in Kamloops go a long way. So when you're the driest and the warmest, that's pretty substantial.
Yeah.
Okay, any New Year's resolutions before we let you go, Mark?
Try to stay healthy. Don't, when you're putting and probably get to the gym a little more, eat well, the usual stuff. Don't do what I did yesterday. If you're putting your Christmas decorations away above the garage, there's a nice storage area. Make sure you step on somewhere stable up there. Don't do what I do yesterday. Step on the drywall, go through the garage roof and into the garage and land on your butt first on the cement. So I'm off to the doctor later today, but I'm okay. I think I'm going to make it. Just be careful out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
My goodness. Went through the drywall. Okay, that's a great story to end it. We're glad you're okay, and the forecast is okay for your back.
Yeah.
Thanks, you guys. I appreciate it. Okay. Good luck, Blazers. Let's make it happen.
Okay, take her easy.
Thanks, Mark.
Okay.
Honestly, it's a lot better than I thought it would be. I mean, when I got here, there's no way I thought that you could make a living off of working at McDonald's, but you can, and that's kind of changed my whole outlook on what I want to do. So yeah, I definitely can see myself staying at McDonald's because, it's something that you can financially stay at, and I love it, so why not? This was my last choice for a job. I applied at different places before I applied here, And I am so glad I got the job here because there's nowhere else I could really see myself. I love McDonald's. I love everything about it. I love the energy. I love the people. Just a great environment to be in. It makes me happy. I like making other people happy. So yeah, eventually I'd like to be a GM and maybe from there, move up from there. I don't know yet. I mean, kind of just going with the flow here.
Top 10 Kamloops news stories of 2023. We're going to do this every year. Chris, number one. Okay, so I kind of came up with the ordering of this list.
I sent you a bunch of suggestions and said no particular order because it's hard to. It's like that list of TV shows. It's hard to say which one, but you threw them in some order that you thought was germane to the conversation.
Yes, it could be.
Could be some.
You got to put them somewhere.
Yeah.
So you can disagree if you want, but we got 10 topics here. Number one.
Why don't we go 10 to 1?
You want to go 10 to, well, because
okay, go 1
that
to
might
10.
confuse Bill.
Okay, go 10 to 1. Go 1 to 10.
Probably be pretty easy, Bill, if we go 10 to 1. If we go backwards, is that going to throw you off too much?
The videos are already all in.
Okay, let's go 1 to 10.
Ordered?
1 to
Okay.
10.
We're going to go 1 to 10.
That's easier.
All right?
Unless you want to stop and we can reorganize.
No, 1 to 10 is good. Let's go. Come on, that's good.
Okay, number one.
Well, hold on. We're starting with number one story and going to 10?
Yeah.
To the 10th.
Should we go the other
Well, I
way?
mean, logic says you go 10 to 1, right?
I'm going to have to just put them in the other order.
Yeah, okay, we'll just take a couple seconds because I think it's better.
Yeah, I do
the
too.
other way.
Yeah. I think number 10 should be my team beating Bills at trivia last week.
Oh.
Yes.
Where was that?
At the Central.
At the Central.
Yeah. I think it was like by a half a point or something.
Well, you beat Bill in trivia?
To be fair, it was a point and a half.
A point and a half, yeah.
Yeah. You're a cheat code at those things, though.
No, because half the time I didn't. We had my kids were there, and I was up with Addie and Cam's son, and then Veronica was there, but she went to another table with her friends, so they're young, so they killed some of the new music shit I didn't know about. So without them, we wouldn't have won. Yeah.
So this was all music.
No, there's music, there's history, but it's fun.
Yeah, I like the sound. They have one at Bailey's too.
Although I think the chicken wings have gone downhill.
We're at Central?
Yeah.
I don't think they were ever uphill.
Well, they were better, though, about 2 months ago.
Remember the old Dirty Jersey? They had good wings.
They had the best wings in town. Meaty.
Gulliver's.
Gulliver's?
The Gulliver's restaurant had the best wings.
Where was that?
Is your
it
camera
turned
on?
into like a chicken.
I like chicken wings.
There he is.
A lot.
I think back in the day, the best wings I can remember is Gulliver's. They were where Tony Roma's was.
Oh, up there.
Years ago. Yeah.
Tony Romas.
You mean in the Aberdeen Village?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, they had they're breaded to perfection. They were a little bit bigger. The sauces that they put on there were just the right amount of tart and sweetness, not
Gulliver's.
nothing else.
So
Yeah.
you like the breaded wing better?
I do like the breaded wing better, yeah. But I don't know if you guys know this. I am a champion wing eater. I've won many hot wing eating contests.
Really?
What's your
Yeah.
record?
It didn't go by record. It was against everybody else in the bar.
Okay, so the last person standing.
How many we could eat in a certain amount of times, quantity and speed.
The Fox and Hound used to have those nights, like it'd be like 10-cent wings.
Well, they still have pretty good deals, like half the price wings, so it's like $8 for a pound, where instead of 20, because they're expensive now.
It's a ridiculous. With the wing price now,
It's
it's like $20 for a
like-
pound of wings.
And that's only 7 or 8 wings. It's crazy. It's not a good deal.
I'm really good at eating chicken wings. I feel like I've got it like down to a science, and I don't know if my teeth are made for it,
Yeah.
but definitely I think there's some sort of genetic thing going on with eating chicken wings.
What's your favorite flavor?
Oh, mine. I actually like honey garlic. It's my favorite.
Hot for me. You?
Hot.
Yeah.
Hot. How did you get it? Yeah.
We tap dance. Are we ready to go, Bill?
Yeah.
Whoa! Look at that. Okay.
So we'll start back up here like bam.
And we're going to start with number 10. And that is, it's a combination of two things. We couldn't really decide what to do here, so we kind of combined two things. Number one, full cancer center a go, says Health Minister Adrian Dix, and / provincial government approves Pineview Valley Elementary, the first new school in Kamloops since Packaway back in 2000.
We think so.
We think so.
Yeah. Those are two big announcements, because the school district has been growing by an average of 250 students per year, which is an average size elementary school every year, new kids moving in, which is a reversal of the trend. When I first moved here from 2005 to 2010, they were closing schools because enrollment was down. So to get approval for a school in Pineview Valley was a big deal, and they're starting work on it. And of course, Parkcrest Elementary, which burnt down, I think, in September 21. That's I drove by the other day. It's going to open this year, this spring, I think.
Where did your kids go to elementary?
They went to Aberdeen Elementary. So that's a big deal. So that's good news because we need more schools here. Actually, what we do need is a restructuring of the whole scheduling. I have an idea that we can have the schools. We don't need new schools, but we don't need 2 months off in the summer because the kids aren't out there harvesting the grain anymore. But that's another topic.
You've got an idea to revamp the whole school system.
I agree. Have them working in factories, building guitars and stuff.
We have studies. There was a study yesterday in the New York Times, another study ad nauseum about how kids learn differently at different ages. We have high school kids going to school at the worst time when the brains aren't optimum in the morning. We should have the schools open till 8 and 9 at night. We should have staggered classes, and we wouldn't need as many schools.
I don't like the idea of having schools open till 9 at night.
No, because the teenagers learn better from noon onward. It's a scientific fact. But going back to this thing, it's a good idea. It's a good news for the Pineview. And the Adrian Dix came in, and I think it was May, and he says, okay, we're building this cancer clinic, this full cancer clinic next to RIH.
You've heard this before.
We've heard this in 91. We heard it during the election of 2021. And both times, both NDP governments, and they lied to us. They plainly lied to us. Dix came up and said, no, we're doing it this time. And he announced in May that they're building it there and that this past fall, we're going to see a business plan. So far, nothing. It's still an empty lot. We don't know what's going on. I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but it doesn't look good.
Yeah.
Right?
So people are forced in some cases, well, in a lot of cases, to go to Kelowna.
Yeah, what we have in Kamloops, we have all the services except for radiation.
Yeah.
And radiation is the quickest, and they have to drive 2 hours to Kelowna. Sometimes, in some cases, 5 or 10 minutes of treatment, drive all the way back 2 hours. It's ridiculous.
Mike, you had your camera on there. Do you want to say something about the schools?
Oh, I agree with Chris, being a different style of learner. Mm-hmm. But wouldn't that make it a lot easier on the family unit if you're picking up your kids at 7 or 8 o'clock at night from school, rather than trying to be there 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon?
I mean, we don't need 2 months off in the summer where kids forget a lot of stuff. And the semester system is a joke. We should get rid of that thing because, one time my son took math from September to December, and it was another more than a year later. He took math again and forgot everything. When I was in school, we took 8 subjects. Straight through, 8 blocks going through.
55 minutes each or whatever it was, yeah.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to have it. It's nice to have a Lamborghini, but sometimes you don't need it. And you don't want to have
no time off for the kids?
No, they need time off. They need blocks of weeks off. But you don't need 9 weeks in the summer and 2 weeks in the winter and 2 weeks in the spring. You could use that summertime, and you can block off to say, okay, these guys will get 3 weeks off.
I'll tell you, it's not going to like that. The teachers.
Well, of course, they're not going to like that. It's because they got a good thing going.
I liked having the summers off because it allowed me to work in the family business.
I like to have the summers off.
Your summers off weren't good because you didn't have any vacations. I don't think. Huh? A buck, no vacations for you guys.
No, we went down. We drove down to Reno and Vegas and Bellingham and stuff like that.
Smoking in the car.
Having their Bud Lights going on. No, we were in the back of the station wagon going through Portland, Oregon, and I think
hotbox and Marlboros.
Oh yeah, no, it was export planes.
Export planes.
That's what took their lives.
That's why you don't want the summer vacations. Your memories are just foggy.
Oh, they're okay. There was fun. It was fun times, for sure.
Okay, let's go to number 9.
Okay, here we go. Number
9. It's another combination. It's a sports combination.
Yes.
South Kamloops Titans win the BC title, volleyball, senior boys championship, and Ethan Kasberg wins gold in hammer throw at the World Championships. You probably have an issue with that one because he's not from here, right? I mean,
no. There's a difference between him and
Matty Dunstan.
Dunstan, who's hiring him up to. He's a curler for hire. He goes to whoever wants him. So I think next year he's playing for Labrador and Newfoundland. But no, with this, if you train here, he lives here. He's basically a Kamloopsian. It's great. Also, we should mention the Titans.
Yeah, and it's a unique team, and there's kind of a sadder tie-in, an inspirational tie-in too, a little bit. Is they were coached in sporadically by Owen McInnes, who was killed recently in a motor vehicle accident, TRU Wolfpack volleyball player. He had gone out to help them in their club volleyball, and I think a couple times for high school practices as well.
They got to know him.
They got to know him pretty well, and they found out about his death while they were at provincials.
While they're provincials in Langley, and it was tough for them. You went out and spoke to the kids at the crash site where they have a memorial, and they spoke honestly about the motivation, the sadness, and all this kind of stuff.
And we have that clip right here.
It means a lot for sure, especially with what happened with Owen here. It's nice to be able to dedicate something to him.
We're at the spot where the crash happened, and I didn't actually realize you guys had a relationship with him, and he helped coach you guys. So what's it like to be here right now?
Yeah, for sure. He was more than just some random Wolfpack player to us. He came to practices. It was special.
A lot of those Titans were together since grade 5 at Lloyd George. A unique situation where a lot of those guys played together since grade 5 because their coach, Graham McGregor, brought them together.
Super team.
Super team.
Yep.
And speaking of super athletes, Ethan Katzberg. You know Ethan Katzberg.
I do.
Guitar throwing competition.
Oh, guitar throwing, yeah. Ethan's great. One of our favorite guests and inspirational. Really inspirational.
Twice. He's a good guy. We saw him at the airport.
Yes.
In Vancouver.
We did. No, in Vancouver. And Dylan Armstrong was there too, his coach. Moved to Kamloops in 2020 and became the world champion and the Pan Am champion and the Canadian champion all in 1 year.
Amazing.
And he's going to the Paris Olympics this summer.
Yes, we had him on our show, and
he's the Happy Gilmore of Kamloops.
He is the Happy Gilmore of Kamloops. I can't wait for that competition, the guitar throwing.
It's going to be amazing.
Should be this summer.
This is a clip with him right here. Ethan, 81.25 meters at the World Championships. Broke your own national record. The youngest ever men's hammer throw world champion. The youngest medalist in the history of the event. The first Canadian male to reach the podium in hammer throw at Worlds. World champion.
Yeah, it's quite a list.
when you hear all that, what comes into your mind?
Overwhelming, I'd say. That's a lot going on there. But everyone in the stadium was clapping. It sounded amazing.
Like a Viking clap kind of thing.
Like a volleyball. And that's sort of when I let myself get excited on that very last throw. And then after that, it kind of all hit me.
Yeah.
Then I went over to Dylan. He hoisted me up. There's an awesome photo of that.
Yeah, I've seen that.
It was an exciting time.
I had some fun in the paper. I asked you about, you look like a Viking, you've got a mustache, and could you be on a cereal box, like marketing? Have you had any kind of marketing stuff come your way since?
No cereal companies.
No?
We've got some things in the works right now, and I think some deals will evolve, and that stuff takes time. So,
River Song Guitar.
You got any ideas for
one of those?
What would be a good company to sponsor Ethan, do you think, Mike?
I think we should do a guitar throw contest for charity.
That's a great idea.
Awesome.
Love it.
I'm totally in. I think it'd be fun to do, and maybe that would share it with the world, and somebody might see us somewhere else. So, anyways, we're proud of you. It's funny because I remember, because during the show, I actually, through LinkedIn, messaged I think it was Post Special K is what he was.
Vector,
that?
right?
Vector.
Yeah.
I actually messaged the Vector CEO.
Did you get a response?
I haven't got a response yet, but it's gonna remind me to do that again.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, that was number 9. Let's go to number 8.
Volkswagen.
All right, I couldn't be happier. Could not be happier to be here today with Terry Low Rates Low, owner of Volkswagen of Kamloops. I had to do this commercial because Chris Foulds, he just gets bamboozled. He gets flummoxed.
He gets all messed up. I don't understand it.
I don't understand why you don't get it, but the rates are so low.
He seems like such a smart guy on camera. I don't know.
I just don't understand the rates.
I mean, we call them SUVWs, right?
I like SUVW. That's kind of cool.
It is. It's good.
We got a range of different SUVs from our biggest one, the Atlas full-size 7-passenger. If you need the space, if you still want a bigger vehicle but don't need the 7 seats, we have an Atlas Cross Sport.
They're so low that my mind can't compute them.
I mean, it's nice now because obviously prime at over 7%, and the rates used to be at 8 and 9.
Low rates.
Not LOWE for Terry Low, but LOW.
Anytime you
rates.
even say Volkswagen, I can see how bamboozled he gets. It's dangerously
Doesn't
low
know how to
rates.
spell it. I know,
It's dangerously low rates because he's just
Is it
wondering. I
low? Is
can't
it an
figure
E?
out why the rates are so low.
And now Volkswagen's got them down to, like I said, if you want to lease, you're at 4.99.
But the rates are so low.
I was wandering around
The whole time he's mumbling, I can the 4.99%. I understand.
And that's what Foulds gets so confused about and flummoxed and dumbstruck. How is Volkswagen able to do that with those rates?
Well, they want to keep the market going. As you can see now, we're starting to get a bit more product in.
We went straight to the Pike Place market, and we got a big fish in Seattle. And we just started
Smacked him
like,
in the
wake
face.
up,
Holy
Fouldsy. How come
mackerel.
you can't
It was
understand the
mackerel,
rates,
right?
man?
Terry, do you have any advice for Chris? He might be in hospital right now, just dealing with a bout of confusion.
Well, you know what? Maybe I should invite him down here and explain, the facts of life. Not the true facts of life, but the facts of life for him.
He's dumbstruck. He's flummoxed, bamboozled.
Yeah.
And he's a numbers guy, which I don't get.
That's how low the rates are at Volkswagen right now.
Volkswagen.
The largest tax hike this century at 7%, and bad news in the future on that too.
Well, yeah, it's projected to be 10.8% this year. They're hoping to get it down, to under 2 digits. But even then, it's a high tax increase. The only saving grace, or sort of savings grace, is the BC assessments just came out this week, and on average, the property values in Kamloops residential are down 2%.
Okay,
and that helps with respect to if your property goes down or up more than the average, then it affects.
Those just came out?
Yeah, just came out yesterday. Mine went down 2.7%.
I'll have to have a look in my apartment, see what it did.
Yeah, you want it to go down in this, unless you're selling, right? You want it to go down.
Yeah, no, I don't think we're going to sell.
Yeah, so you want to see it lower so that you save some money in the short term.
Thinking about buying.
Yeah.
Thinking about saving. This is not a good year to buy, though. We're going to wait a little bit.
This year, the projection is 3 or 4 rate decreases, and in the U.S. with the Fed, and we usually mirror that. So the last two Bank of Canada announcements were stay the course. So if we're going to have one in April, I think, and then maybe in June. So by the end of this year, we could be coming down, which is good news for
my
buying.
variable rate too.
Yeah.
But it might be a good news for buying, but I think it's going to also increase the housing pricing is going to go back up because it's kind of stagnating, right?
Sure. I mean, yeah, and they're still high. But people, even if they've gone down, we're still so high. The bubble hasn't burst since this century started, since early 2000 when things went crazy. About 2008, we haven't. They keep saying, "Oh, it can't last." What's lasting? It's lasting for 2 decades, man.
It's lasting. If it goes down, it's going to cause all sorts of problems.
And when they talk about, well, the solution is more housing supply, I don't buy that, because the more houses you build, they're not going to come down in price. It doesn't matter what the demand is. The prices are the price, and it's still going to be expensive. And I don't think there's any solution for that.
No. Go ahead and just buy. Get in the market.
Get in whenever you can.
Get
but the rates are important. You want to get that rate low because it's
Terry
expensive
Low.
now.
It's low, like
Terry
you
Low.
want
Yeah,
low.
if Terry Low was in charge of the housing minister of BC, we'd have low rates. I tell you right now.
In fact, if you bought a Volkswagen, his rates are so low, you can actually afford more of a house.
Exactly.
4.99 on the SUVWs.
I don't even understand that.
Yeah,
I know, you're
I don't
flummoxed.
understand that. No.
Yeah, bamboozled.
But you do understand number 7 on our list. It's another combination. It's about our hosting prowess. The tournament capital.
Yeah.
We
Another sports
hosted
related.
in sports. Too many sports on here for you this list so far,
There's
Mike?
2 so far.
No, I agree with what's
okay
going
with
on
this?
so far. Yeah.
Okay, Memorial Cup and the Scotties in the same
big
year.
news.
The National Junior Hockey Championship and the National Women's Curling Championship. Big deals.
Let's start with the Scotties. That seems like it was forever ago for me. Weird year. Weird. I think the pandemic still has me
all of us
messed up with time.
Time has changed.
Also, a lot of weird stuff happening in my life at that time, but that's another story.
Yeah.
Now, February, they were kind of worried, organizers. It was the first time hosting the Scotties since the pandemic, so they were sure about attendance. They met their budget. They were happy with attendance. I think it was like 51,000. Didn't break any records, but the event was a success.
Yep.
It was fantastic. I think it was great too for local businesses, Mike, restaurants, cafes, and that's what we talked to multiple curlers about in this clip. if you have it, Bill, it's the Scotty's clip right here.
The food here is amazing, and we're all foodies, and my daughters are foodies too. So we're gonna go out for some a good food tonight. We went to Mitzi's, I think it's
Mitzi's Kitchen.
Mitzi's, kitchen already. I think we're gonna go to Twisted. We've gone to we went to a great breakfast at
Hello
Toast.
Toast?
Yes. So we've short period of time we've done some, and we wanted to go for a drive. We went to Vernon because we wanted to drive through and see all the lakes, and it's just so beautiful. And I know my husband's gonna take the girls up, hopefully go skiing at Sun Peak. So.
It's actually the first time that I've been here, but it's beautiful. I wish I could actually live here. Like, I'm seeing Montreal now and I'm like, wow, BC, it's so beautiful. But there's actually one of my boyfriend's mom. Her best friend is from here, and she was in the stands. She was the one dancing at one point and on the big screen. And I just looked at her and I was like, oh yeah, like it feels like home. Like it just feels like home. So it's an amazing feeling.
Yeah, we found some good local coffee shops and some awesome restaurants, and we went on a little hike, and nice to. Everyone's so friendly, and it's been really fun.
Do you remember the names of the coffee shops you went to?
Yeah, we went to Five Bean, and we went to Twisted Steak. It was a really good supper.
Any family relations, any friends here?
No, but we've got we've won a lot of. We've come to BC to play, and I just love playing in British Columbia. And Kamloops is spectacularly beautiful. It's like a hidden treasure.
It's been amazing. The volunteers are super friendly and welcoming, and the town's great. It's nice to be in the mountains, and it's nice and mild out here.
I forgot you talked to Rachel Holman. She's like a legend. So is Jennifer Jones.
Well, all of them.
Yeah,
all of them.
Crazy,
Everyone
man.
We talked to you there.
I
Yeah.
didn't think you talked to Rachel Holman. Because on the ice she looks so focused. Yeah.
It was Jennifer Jones who lost in the final to Carrie Anderson.
And that was a historic final either way, because the records would be broken either way, right? Or tied.
Yeah, she tied the records, so 4 straight for Carrie. She'll try and break it this year.
This year, I guess, yeah.
One of the disappointments, though, on the ice, and this kind of mirrors with the Memorial Cup too, which we'll get to in a second, was there was no Kamloops team there, and there very well could have been. And we were hoping there was.
And the reason it was so heartbreaking, we came this close.
Team Brown.
Yeah.
Corinne Brown and crew, they lost in the BC final in an extra end
in Chilliwack
to Clancy Grandy.
Yeah.
So that was disappointing, and I guarantee you the attendance numbers go up if Team Brown's in that thing, and felt bad for them. Memorial Cup too, on the ice, kind of sputtered a little bit, right? They placed 4th.
And they had that one great game against Peterborough.
Yeah. But off the ice, it was just a smash hit success.
Huge hit. It was Norm Daly and Yves Lacasse and the gang that put that together. It was fantastic.
Averaged 5,378 people per game, 4.5 million viewers on TSN over 11 days. The CHL loved it. Business was booming.
Downtown was great. The Kelson Hall with that little, they had the so the mini traveling Hall of Fame was fantastic. I went to there, and the games are great.
I mean, the Blazers season was still, it was amazing to watch those teams. I mean, to watch that team they put together was amazing. I'm not taking a shot at the team.
Great team.
They brought Zellweger in. They brought Ryan Hofer in.
They were a top 5 team for much of the year.
And it was just anticlimactic because the playoffs, they rolled through the first 2 rounds. There wasn't much drama. They just rolled through the first 2 rounds. The big series was Seattle. Couldn't get over the hump against Seattle, and then they had an injury. Kyle Masters in the tournament, and Quebec was head and shoulders. We got to see Patrick Waugh on our show.
Very cool.
Well, that time on our show was cool too. We had so many guests coming on.
It was great.
So that's what number 7 was on our list. If we can move now to number 6, no video involved here, Bill. This is the TRU investigation report released on allegations of workplace misconduct on the part of 2 senior administrators.
Yeah, we did, KTW did a story, and CBC as well. We broke this story concurrently back the year before about an investigation into alleged behavior, boorish behavior by 2 senior administrators. The report finally came out from an independent investigator, and it found that there was 55 allegations, I think, against 2 senior administrators, one of whom they say they found no basis for any of them. That was Matt Milovic. So we talked to him, and he said I was exonerated. And the other one, Larry Phillips, they found that they could find that 10 of the 22 or
10 of the 33
against him, they found that were justified, that he did indeed, and it was mostly inappropriate language.
Well, the 10 allegations against him were substantiated. 7 involved sexual harassment, 1 age harassment, 1 personal harassment, and 1 derogatory comment toward First Nations people.
Yeah, so by the time the report came out, Larry Phillips had been jettisoned. He got fired, I think, last December.
But the president, your President Brett Fairbairn, said it was
unrelated. He said it had nothing to do with that. It had to do with other things lacking in his employment performance. So the gist of all this is it's still going on. Matt Milovic is suing a bunch of the complainants, not because they complained, but because they, in his lawyer's words, lawyer David Sutherland told me, they broke the confidentiality of the investigation. He says they're fine they're fine to complain. It's fine to have an investigation, but they went to the media. They broke the confidentiality and defamed him publicly, and then so he's suing them. That's going through the courts, and then Larry Phillips is suing the True for wrongful dismissal. It's like a professional wrestling match where everyone's turning on each other, and there's going to be a chair in a minute, and someone's back. So everyone's suing everyone. The investigation is over, but the follow-up from it is still out there.
Okay, let's move on to number 5. It's unprecedented drought.
Yes. Kind of linked to what we were talking to Mark Madryga about is 2023 was the driest year on record in Kamloops since the late 1800s. Again, 148 millimeters of rain, which is less than half of what we normally get. Mm-hmm. And we lived through that through the whole year. It was another bad fire season. We call it smoke season here because the fires were elsewhere, but the smoke was intense here again. So we've had bad fire smoke season 17, 18, 21, 23. So it looks like it's becoming a trend, right? So, and this year we'll probably have another one because it's so dry and there's not enough moisture to keep everything in. And
it hurt a lot of the farms in the
hurts
area.
The farm,
the
hay farmers, are they going to have enough moisture to get the hay going for the cattle? Will beef prices go up? It's just bad news all around. One lightning strike, boom,
it's tied into the whole Noble Creek. Noble Creek.
Yeah, I mean, they can't get at water because the water levels were down before they decommissioned. So a drought was a huge story, and concurrent to that is the fires that come with it, the lack of water, and the domino effect on everything in the ecosystem and in the economic system. So not good.
Number 4. This is kind of a combination as well. That there's a lot that you could have divided this up to be 5 of your top 10 issues, but I just put street issues into one because we talked about that so much. Yep. And it was Kamloopsians in general did. Mike, it's close to home for you, some of your business.
You know what? I just discovered 2 days ago they broke into another truck, broke a door on the side, and somebody was living in one of our empty trucks again. And even though I screwed the door shut, right? Mm-hmm. This is an issue, and the last year this was really a big one for me. And when we went out with the mayor, that was a real, I won't ever forget that.
Yeah. Homelessness, open drug use, crime, safety, damage to businesses, the overdose crisis. There's a lot, but this is kind of what we boiled it into street issues.
Yeah, I mean, and it's an ongoing thing. You'll see it in the news, you'll see it on social media, you'll see it walking around town, and the reasons for it are multivariate, and the solutions to it, not the solutions, but the responses are also as complex. And what can you say that hasn't been said? It's and I said this before in the show, and you can probably grab a clip. This will never be solved, and we might be able to contain it, but it's never going to be solved. It's always been with us. It's just worse now because of many factors, foremost of which housing crisis, cost of living. And some people are homeless because they can't even afford an apartment because it's too damn expensive.
And we probably talked about this on, 10 shows. 10 shows this past year, and one of those shows we had Dr. Carol Fenton on. To her credit, she came in, she biked here, and she sat in the hot seat for some questions. We talked about open drug use in public spaces, mandatory treatment, enforcement, and the 4 pillars drug strategy. In this clip, Bill, if you have it, the Fenton clip, right here. What about enforcement? It's a tricky issue. What's your take on it?
It's one of the 4 pillars. And Bob Hughes from Ask Wellness Society and others have said that the powers that be have ignored that one pillar, which he said is important.
So there are different ways of looking at the enforcement pillar. Again, this is the 4 pillars framework is a 20-year-old framework, and you could argue that under that framework we have seen a worsening of the situation rather than an improvement. So it might be worth looking at whether or not that framework even makes sense. Okay. Or we look at what each pillar means and what's within the pillar. For me, appropriate enforcement would look like things like safe supply. Like, how do we know that what people are getting is safe? And then once they have safe supply, are they using appropriately in places where they should?
Or in addition to that, wouldn't it also be good to say, offer more recovery and rehab, like really ramp that up? So wouldn't the goal be to get the person on the street who is addicted to drugs and their life is misery, rather than say, well, you need a better place to use your stuff? Wouldn't it be better to get them off it? Isn't that the ultimate goal, is to get people off the addiction?
I mean, it is a perennial debate in the area.
You don't think the ultimate goal should be to
use.
get someone off it if they're living on the street in squalor? They're just existing?
So I think the ultimate goal would be to achieve their health goals, and that usually means getting and keeping housing, getting and keeping their health at a high level, and really developing healthy coping skills, healthy relationships, and being a contributing member of society, regardless of whether or not they have to take a medication every day.
If a person can't cope and they don't have the capacity to make the decision, shouldn't society step in and for their safety and our safety say, your life is not good on the street, on the riverbank, let's put you in a place? No?
So the conversation around mandatory treatment, I think, doesn't make sense when we don't have the conditions in place for that person to become stable, either before that is considered or after they are discharged from a facility like that.
I thought it was great to have guests on like that and to have some conversations like that, Mike, throughout the year.
She was a great guest.
She was a great guest. Any thoughts on the clip?
No, I remember that show. I disagree with a lot of what she said, but I get where she's coming from. It's not working, and it kind of blew me away that she couldn't agree with the goal should be getting someone off the addiction.
Well, she gave her point.
But it's like she said in a roundabout way that no, people should be allowed to be addicted, but we should try to make them as healthy as they can in that sort of area, which I find
because I think
odd,
her point was that you take them off the street for a while, they're going to go back on the street.
No, and that's what I said. Well, shouldn't we be before that? I said, shouldn't we be ramping up our rehab and our treatment things, ramping up big time, because so we can do that. So I agree with her. Right now, there's not enough for the people. I get with that, but what she was saying is she doesn't necessarily agree with my premise that the goal should be to get people clean.
She talked about their health goals.
Their health goals, and I don't know. It's like just now. I think it's Bill C-34. It was just struck down by the BC Supreme Court this week, which was going to impact everyone in Kamloops and elsewhere. The BC government passed introduced a bill last year, just a few weeks ago, that said that you can't do drugs near playgrounds. That's been struck down. So right now, it's fair game again, and the Supreme Court struck it down. So now it's a huge political battle between the NDP. In fact, the NDP brought it in, so all the parties agree that we should have rules as to where you can use drugs. A coalition, I think, of 32 nurses in Vancouver challenged it, and they won. So now we're back to square one. So it's just a mess all over the place. I don't understand it. I think it's logical. Maybe I'm living in a weird post-COVID bizarro world. I just don't understand why you can't say...
You do have a lot of 1994 Abbotsford views.
Well, tell me this. I play pickleball during the season with my buddies. Every Thursday or Wednesday, McDonald Park, and when it gets darker, we go to Riverside. Afterwards, we always retire to a nice park bench and have 2 or 3 beers and talk about the world and we're very respectful, and we put our cans away. That's illegal.
Yeah, open
that's
liquor.
Illegal.
You can find them for an
that
open
is
liquor
illegal.
ticket.
But if I was to pull out a needle and do some heroin or do some crack, that's legal. Tell me how that makes sense in any bloody world.
That
Come on,
doesn't make sense.
It's
I
ridiculous.
I agree. That doesn't make.
Holy
like
shit!
That's ridiculous.
It's unbelievable. And we're back. And now we're with this court ruling. We're back to square one. And this is people can say, "Oh, there's the hard right Chris come in." And sometimes you got to be hard right, and sometimes you got to be hard left, and sometimes you have to be center.
Right.
Wide right if you're a Buffalo Bills fan.
All right, we could go on. It's 10:40. Let's move on to number 3, Inferno in the Shoe Swap, Okanagan.
Yeah.
Wildfire season broke pretty much every record imaginable. Amount of land burn, damage to homes and businesses. The Bush Creek East wildfire in particular, I found these numbers. More than 270 structures confirmed destroyed in the Shoe Swap area. More than $240 million in insured damage. Scotch Creek, Celista, Lee Creek.
Not to mention the uninsured damage that is out there.
Yep.
Right? Yeah.
3,500 properties subject to, about 3,500 subject to evacuation orders in the Shoe Swap, including that of, if you have this clip ready for us, Bill, Ashley and Curtis Johnson from Turtle Valley. I called Mike actually right when I got the alert, and he was panicked. He's like, oh, fuck. I'm out, I gotta go, and hung up. How scary was it? I mean, at that point?
Terrifying. It'll haunt me for the rest of my life.
Yeah, that's a sound you'll remember forever when you can hear, sounds like a jet engine was like 10 feet away from you. Sound of the fire roaring over the mountain.
How many animals do you have?
About 170 plus. We were loading our sheep in, and it came to a point where we couldn't load them anymore. We had to choose us over them, unfortunately, and it broke us leaving and having to pretty much just open our gates and
hope they'd make it.
I think got out of there just at about 8 o'clock, and when I was looking back at our records of when the alert came out, or the order actually came out, was after we left. So I can only make an assumption that the houses there's about 2 or 3 properties that are closer down to the highway, and I believe that they probably didn't receive that order at all before the fire actually even hit their properties.
So Curtis, how do you feel about that and the communication around that whole situation?
It's a very low-tech kind of valley, I guess you could say. There's limited cell service. People don't rely on their cell phones up there. Some people, and a majority of them, don't even have cell phones. They still have landlines. So we just don't understand why there wasn't a ground personnel sent out at a minimum to check these homes. Like, we have tenants on our property that they didn't receive the notice or order or anything, and we were rolling off our property and their horses were still in the pasture, and we thought that was confusing, so we checked on them. They had no clue. We had to rush to get them out last minute.
They let us pass and back in, and we successfully got the rest of our animals out.
Following day.
I mean, we lost maybe three birds. Yeah, it was terrifying. It was one of those moments where you never want to relive it, and you don't want anyone else to live that and experience that.
There's a lot to unpack. I mean, a lot of issues came out with disputes between residents and authorities, whether it be BC Wildfire Service and the cops. But there's multiple sides to that too, right? I mean, do you want to start?
Well, every fire season seems to be like a teaching lesson, what we learn from this for next year. But it seems that we're not learning what we should be. In 2003, which was the first big well, 57 was the big one, and then 2003 was the big one in modern times. I was in the coast, and you guys were living here. Bad one, right? Barrier, Kelowna, all the homes, and they did a big report. I think Gary Philman did the report, big report, and said we're going to learn from this. And then we have the big one in 17 and 18, big report again. I think Jeff Plant did it, big huge report. It doesn't seem to be working what we do. And 2 years ago in Monty Lake, between here and Vernon, 2 years ago, 21 I think it was, similar thing. They had a big fire there. It was across the lake, and the people there who know, they have excavators. They have knowledge of the land. They work in the woods. They were saying, let us go up this mountain and build some fire guards. Let us try to put this out. We have water tanks, and they were saying you can't do that. You can't, insurance, for whatever reason, you can't do it. The fire devastated everyone. They were really pissed off. They said we need to be able to do this. At that time, we knew that they should change the system and let the people try to fight the fires. Fast forward 2 years, 23. Shuswap, exact same thing. People there were not leaving their properties. It's their livelihood. It's their lives. They stayed behind, and they saved a lot of it, and they did it illegally. And it became very very tense out there.
Yeah, and people felt like they're being prohibited from helping other people too with supplies and fuel and getting aid to them because of these evacuation orders that were in place and other orders. And I mean, boots on the ground people unfairly, I think, from BC Wildfire were and cops too, who are enforcing these policies.
It's the policies from the provincial government, and yes, but the first people the people see, and they're pissed. It's like when you go to the store, you yell at the clerk. Well, the clerk has nothing to do with it. It's the management. But and they get that, I think. But I think the takeaway from all this is, again, this year we had the same damn problems we had 2 years ago with respect to getting people to help. And the government has said, they said in the aftermath of the fires this past fall, that they're going to work on involving local people, hiring local people. Look at the Skeetchison First Nation just west of us. They have knowledge. They have what they call firekeepers. They know the land. They know the history of where the fire burns and where it doesn't, how to fight the fires. Yeah. They had to leave their land. They were pissed off too. Use these people.
Yeah.
If they want to, if you have to sign a waiver, sign the waiver and go and use these people to help fight the fire. They want to do it.
And I'm sure a lot of these regulations were put in place with safety in mind, right? I mean, down power lines and it's unsafe for residents to be there, and they want people to leave.
Well, if the firefighting service is now a year-round service, which the NDP government said it is, then you can damn sure during the cold months train those people for that kind of stuff. So when the fire season arrives, they're certified to help the firefighters if they need to. I mean, it doesn't.
I just want to present the other side of the story as well, because I know a lot of BC wildfire people. They saw that clip that we played, and they felt. And although we did earlier in the show talk about how this is not a shot at the firefighters on the ground or these people.
They're doing it's the people who make the decisions up in the provincial government or and I'm sure there's reasons why they make these decisions, but there are people like Jim Cooperman who instigated a big investigation into the backburn at Lee Creek that he claims and the other people claim caused more damage than it saved. There's a reason why people are choked, and it should be addressed, and I think
now it absolutely has to be addressed.
Sure. You would hope so.
Mike, you good on that?
I'm good on that. We've been working a lot doing drone footage of the fire and how fast it raced through there, and talking with the fire department guys, and we actually went up to one of the top of the mountain where the cell tower was.
Yep.
And it was devastating. It's insane.
I drove out to there. Well, that's Big Mike in the background. That's Maca Ranch people right there. That's the Maca Ranch people. I drove out there to their ranch, and I just couldn't believe the forest that was just destroyed.
I know.
And how fast. They said it was the fastest moving
fire that they've ever recorded going into Celesta there. And I guess the problem there is, going back to that, is a lot of people were saying, well, when the fire started, Adams Lake East fire merged with the bushfire after. But when it first started, it was just a little fire up in the mountain. And they say, why didn't they put it out when it came up there? Well, they were busy with the Kelowna. They were busy with Lytton, Lillooet. So they're very busy. There's not enough people to take care of it. And at the time, it was a fire way away from everything. Mm-hmm. And they tend to let those burn if they're not going to, because it's natural. It's good to let it burn out so that it kills the fuel for next year. Yeah. There was 3 big fires in Wells Gray Park, big fires. But they were burning away from everything. And they just, no use burn them out because they're not going to burn anything. This one, they thought the same thing. Unfortunately, it turned and came down. Stuff happens.
Well, I mean, they stayed home. They defied the orders and potentially saved their property by going. Well, that's what I would do too in that situation.
Well, you'd have to do it, but like I said before, there has to be, and I think they talked about it. The government, there has to be a way to enable these people to maybe deputize them or do something officially to say, okay, you can stay, but if something happens, don't be suing the government.
Get Big Mike out there with a chainsaw.
Yeah, but train them. But and if they're worried about liability, figure that out on a paper and get it going.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on. I'm sure we'll hear back about that, how we didn't do a good enough job. But anyway, let's go to number 2.
Don't want the 9-hour cycle, please. Freaking $500 hydro bill, piece of trash. I need to speak to Gord on the 9er.
Hey, no, I'm actually Steve, the new owner.
First things first, pal. You should probably update your sign. Number 2, my dishwasher is tangled again. The 9-hour cycle, hydro bill through the roof. You guys don't fix appliances, I know that, so I need a new one.
We actually do fix appliances, but if you want, I can try some new ones first and have a look. You got a price in mind?
Money is not an obstacle for me.
Money's definitely an obstacle. He's the cheapest guy in Kamloops. Ain't that right, Darby?
Well, this here is going to be your Cadillac model, top of the line. This is our middle of the road dishwasher, just a great dishwasher at a great price. This is our budget friendly model, still a great dishwasher, just at a bit of a lower price.
Price doesn't work for me. Let's see if you can fix mine at home.
Alrighty then. There you go, seems to be good. How's the fridge working?
The fridge is fine, Gord.
It's Steve.
The TRU volleyball tragedy. This is recent. Actually, this coming Wednesday, there's going to be a memorial for Owen McInnes. January 10th. He was 22 years old. There was an out-of-control vehicle, a truck, that hit another vehicle, and 3 TRU Wolfpack volleyball players seriously injured or killed. One died, Owen McInnes of Guelph. Riley Brennan of Kelowna has a serious spinal cord injury, and Owen Waterhouse of Kelowna he's got severe brain trauma. His life will never be the same. So their lives were forever changed by this. And I talked to, the day after this accident, I went to talk to athletics director from TRU, Curtis Atkinson.
It's horrific. It's gut-wrenching. Our collective hearts are broken. To think about them and their families, their teammates, the broader community. Meeting with the teams over the last 18 hours, seeing the emotion from teammates, coaches, staff. It's devastating.
Don't know exactly what happened, but there was a truck, black Dodge.
Black pickup truck traveling east on McGill Road, lost control, went off in the sidewalk, hit a tree, and then
going about 100 kilometers an hour.
That's what the witnesses said. And then it hit the car the volleyball players were in, which was parked at a red light at McGill and University Drive by the subway by Landmark Place. And the truck ended up right inside it was a horrific scene. And the investigation is ongoing as to what it could be. We talked about it. There's many reasons for it. We don't know whether it was medical emergency, malfunction of the truck, a person speeding, drunk. We don't know what it is. And that'll come out. But the results are just horrifying.
Owen, 22 years old. He was engaged to be married. He's no longer with us. And I actually went to practice yesterday to talk to the basketball players. The men's volleyball players, they're going to talk to me next week for a piece on our show and for CBC Radio. But I went and talked to the basketball players just to ask them, they're the first home games coming up this weekend since this accident. How are you guys feeling? And a couple of them were getting emotional, talking about, well, we walk by their lockers every day, right? I mean, we Riley's, one of them was close with Riley. And so it's not just one team too, it's the whole Wolfpack program and all their families, more importantly. I mean, their families have been affected by all this.
What's the status of the volleyball program?
They're going ahead.
Yeah,
they're going ahead. They're playing. Their first games are this weekend in Winnipeg. I think it's good they got to go on the road first. Yeah. This will be an emotional weekend because it's the first games. It's not the volleyball team, it's the basketball team, and then the men get back. They have their memorial celebration of life for Owen McInnes, 4 o'clock start, Wednesday, January 10th at the TCC. You can also donate to his scholarship fund, tru.ca/OWYN, Owen.
OWYN.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on. Number 1. Controversy.
We should have some sort of music for it.
Yeah, we should.
After, okay.
Number 1, controversy at City Hall.
Again.
This is a lot of things combined into one.
It's a continuing thing. It's like a rolling tornado. It's a swirling tornado that never stops. Yeah, how many do we have?
Well, allegations against the mayor of workplace bullying and harassment. Council votes for investigation into the mayor for possibly breaking a rule on recording private conversations with city staff. The mayor defies the fire chief's order to remove his torched vehicle from the business he owns. Mayor files lawsuit against councillor Katie Newstater for defamation. She spoke on behalf of council. Way back in
it was March 17th, yeah.
And talked of the mayor's disrespect, violations of personal and professional boundaries, belittling, and constantly disruptive behavior.
Mm-hmm.
So that's some of it. There's more, but
and then there's that because of the perceived dysfunction or animosity on council, the provincial government municipal affairs ministry appointed Peter Fassbender to come here to try to sort of get them together as a mediator to say, okay, how do we fix this? And then suddenly Peter Fassbender was pulled from the file, and the ministry has not said why. Peter Fassbender used to be a BC Liberal MLA, former education minister, and quite partisan. He was, a vocal opponent of the NDP. Used to be mayor of Langley, and there's speculation that they pulled him because he used to be a Liberal. I don't think that's true. I mean, Jeff Plant was a Liberal, and the NDP hired him to do a big fire review, and they've done cross former government people from other parties have joined the current government in various ways to help. But why he was pulled, we don't know. That's kind of weird. They should explain why he's not there. Actually, I met Peter Fassbender the first time back in the 90s. I covered I was at court in New Westminster covering this horrible case about a tandem skydive, a first for a guy, and he was on tandem, and the chute didn't open, and they plummeted to the deaths in Abbotsford. And there was a criminal investigation because there was something to do with the company may have not replaced a harness they should have because of an order. Anyway, it was criminal negligence trial, and Peter Fassbender, who's a huge skydiver. He was hired to speak on behalf of the skydiving school to the media. So before he got into politics, which is just an aside there. But he is a former BC Liberal who was quite partisan. Got in trouble once because he had a check presentation at his constituency office when it wasn't his government giving money to someone. Anyway, he's
number one on our list. Peter Fassbender stories.
He's got some history. So maybe there is something there with respect to. Anyway, I'm sure he's a good guy. The point is, there's a lot of stuff happening at City Hall.
Great guy.
And it doesn't seem to be ending. We have the mayor next week.
Reader's Digest every month, and we have him next week coming on.
Next week, on the 10th.
Yeah, this will be his first appearance.
So maybe the mayor, I think he just came back from, or he's just coming back from a nice vacation in Cabo San Lucas, which he says is safer than Kamloops. And maybe we can talk to him about the status of all of this stuff and whether he thinks 24 is going to be a little less controversial.
Well, we talked to him in 2023, and Bill, we're going to get to this defamation clip in just 1 second here. We're asking Reid about all this conflict and how it's affecting city business.
Personal stuff got drawn into the city. And, here we've got 10 people from Interior Health, even people that come from out of the city, to come to talk to council. And here they are waiting 25 minutes in a little room, waiting for this, I will say, personal issues, okay?
Could one argue that delay for IH is your fault? You're the one who brought the lawsuit against Katie Newstater. They had to make this in the camera meeting to determine whether she will be indemnified, and she will be. So wouldn't you, if you hadn't brought the lawsuit there, that meeting would have started on time?
Really?
Well, yeah, because
maybe that meeting would have never happened if I wouldn't have picked up the phone and called the CEO for Interior Health to find out what the slowdown wasn't on complex care.
But the delay,
and found out that it was more the city's fault than it was IH's fault.
The delay would not have happened had they had not had the special meeting, which is a result of your lawsuit.
Why did you have to have a special meeting? Why did it have to be closed? Because it sure got open quick.
Well,
it was already.
They had to determine
whether it was in the media before I even knew.
They had to determine whether to indemnify her. On that note, she is now going to be, her costs are going to be paid for by the taxpayers through the city's insurance, I'm assuming. Do you not regret that the taxpayers now have an added cost in this? And if you lose, if it gets to the court and you lose, you may very well may have to pay taxpayers' costs.
There's a lot of ifs in there, isn't there?
Yes, well, yeah, there is. The whole thing's an if.
Sound like the judge.
But if it gets there,
you obviously didn't read the whole claim. You obviously didn't read it.
Yes. But what do I have wrong here then?
Well, you haven't read it. When you read the whole thing, you'll find out it was more than just the one incident. You're telling me that they had to call a special closed meeting
to determine whether
at 8:30 in the morning, when we've known for a long time that we're having a workshop. So you're telling me that was necessary?
Oh no, I'm not. The timing.
The meeting why itself, can I be blamed for it then?
The meeting itself had to be held because they had to determine. They had to determine whether her costs are going to be covered.
Why didn't she just step up to the plate and pay for them?
We asked her that. We asked her that. She wanted to. It's the bylaw. She gets covered. Now the taxpayers are paying her fees.
You obviously didn't listen yesterday morning. And what happens if she loses?
The taxpayers pay if you're awarded, the taxpayers pay it. Now, if you lose, you pay it because you brought it on. She's a defendant. She's protected by her stance as a counselor.
Why don't you talk to my lawyer about this?
I will.
A microcosm of Reader's Digest. So it goes off in a million directions. We try and ask a few questions, and he answers them, and we give him credit for coming back on here every time. Mike, what comes to mind when you see that clip?
It's we've got a candid portal into what's going on in the city, and it's funny you said that the mayor was in
Cabo.
Yep. Because I texted him 2 days ago and he responded right away.
Well, he might be back now, but he was going to Cabo. He usually goes down with his family over Christmas, and I think he was leaving just before Christmas, and he's back probably now. It's January 4th, but he does go over Christmas, and he likes it down there, and he's always available. Like
he's very, very responsive. I feel like very open book, maybe too much of an open book.
Yeah, maybe.
But
it's
become transparent.
It's a circus too. I mean, it's become provincial news, unfortunately, for our city.
Well, Kamloops, Harrison, Lions Bay, another little town, Surrey. It's a group of. It's interesting.
Katie's legal fees. Taken care of by the city, right?
Yeah, she's indemnified as a taxpayer because they've determined that was a council-related thing. Although some people argue, well, that wasn't a council meeting in which she made these statements that led to the lawsuit. That was a sudden, unplanned, quick press conference held in council chambers But it wasn't part of a meeting, so there's an argument there I've heard from a lawyer that says that may not, someone could argue that wasn't council meeting, so why is she covered when that could have been, it wasn't part of council business, so it wasn't part of a meeting, but that's for bigger minds and legal experts to determine.
True, and Reed's just not going to back down.
No.
He's not going to back down.
Doesn't seem to be.
And he's going to stand by the fact he thinks that his family was affected by these claims with the bullying and workplace harassment allegations, how they affected his family, and we have a clip talking to him about that earlier this year. I feel like it's affected your family, and you've been yelled at in public. So
yeah, well, it has. I mean, you guys, come on. You stand up in public and you say that somebody's violated your personal boundaries. What, you don't think it's going to affect you?
Do you feel that's the sexual misconduct and abuse that's being that's inferred?
Well, I've had people scream at me, call me a pervert. One time my wife and I were down, and this is a person that knows Councillor Newstater, and says, "Oh, my wife's coming down here tonight. Can you make sure you keep your hands off her?" Like, what good comes out of somebody saying that you violated personal boundaries? Tell me, what good comes out of it?
She'd never said anything about sexual.
I never inferred sexual at all there. That's the first I heard of it. I just figured, it's a lot of yelling going on in City Hall or something like that. Or maybe I've never.
So if I got up and said that you've
violated your personal boundaries, I would never think that it's a sexual innuendo at all. That's just me, and I've never heard anyone else say that. But you saying that people have said that to you?
So if somebody said that to you, the same thing, you don't feel that somebody's saying that they violated personal boundaries?
If someone came up to me in public and started calling me a pervert.
What if your ex-girlfriend did it?
Well, I mean, that would be a concern, but that's not what happened here.
Well, why would that be a concern? Violating sexual boundaries, that's not a big deal.
No, personal boundaries, personal professional boundaries. I didn't take,
sorry,
all I'm saying is I didn't read,
violating personal boundaries.
I didn't read sexual into it, that's all I'm saying. And no one I know
I'm
did
just
either.
telling you what has happened to me.
Okay, and that's,
another friend of mine was talking to some people, a couple ladies were in a store and they were talking about the incident, and one of the ladies said to the other one, "Oh, he probably grabbed her by the ass."
Okay, so they're inferring this, right?
But I can't believe that you guys think that that's a good thing.
Not a good thing. I'm just saying I didn't read sexual into it until I saw that your lawyer mentioned it. I didn't even think about sexual. I thought more along the lines of
what is violating personal boundaries?
Well, I don't know. Personal boundaries.
Tell me all the good things and all the bad things.
Well, there's nothing good about violation. There's nothing good about crossing, but it doesn't necessarily have to mean sexual.
It could be. I'm 64 years old there, bud, and I've been married for 35 years. Okay.
It could be that. It could be that you're hovering over the desk. It could mean that you're checking her. You're going into her email. That's personal boundaries. It could be anything. I never thought sexual, but if you've heard that in the community, it's affected your family. Fair enough.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that. The fact that we're laughing is part of his appeal, right? I mean,
he's saying it's what's good. There's nothing good about it.
No, but you never said there was.
No, but anyway, it's an ongoing thing at City Hall that people are upset about, but it's fascinating though. It's a dynamic of personalities that's very fascinating. Not just like from staff to senior staff to city council to regular staff. You hear all sorts of crazy shenanigans going on there.
I think you said pretty early back on that you don't think this is going to be solvable.
I first said I think it's good. At first I said, hey, we're only 100 days in or whatever. 90. I think by the spring they'll probably get this going. And by the spring I said this is a lost cause.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's the top 10. Mike, any final thoughts on the top 10?
There's no arts on there, is there?
There's no arts. I don't understand that, but that's okay. It's all right. Well, part of the top 10 last year, we won Acoustic Guitar of the Year.
That's right.
For 2023. That's pretty
been
amazing.
Up there, yeah. I mentioned it to him, but he said no sports.
I said absolutely not.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was there was a lot going on in the last year, and it seems like a pretty good list of Kamloops.
Well, yeah.
The newspaper closing should have been on there.
Oh, I brought that up.
Yeah, we should have had that on there. Right?
I thought maybe
that's a pretty significant.
Our bias was
news.
Shining through with that.
No, that's there. I mean, River Songs Award, the newspaper going down. There's a bunch of on there that can be on there, but this is just what we thought. Was most noteworthy. I'm sure there's 5 or 6 or another 10 that could easily be on there.
Yeah.
There is one more thing I need to bring up that happened last year.
Uh-oh.
It happened late last year after our last episode. I don't know if you know about this too much.
Oh, the delivery.
Yes.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, Murray Fain came in, who's a retired RCMP officer. His daughter, Emma, loves to bake cookies. And she's a philosophy graduate, and she makes hundreds of cookies and gives them out to special people. I guess she gave them all out to everybody else and was like, what else am I going to do with these? And they came here. So I'm going to give them to you guys. You guys can open them up.
So I'm assuming that Murray's a fan of the show.
Murray's a huge fan of the show.
Huge fan of the show, yeah.
Yeah, he's a longtime RCMP officer, right? Retired now, I think you said in the note to us.
Yes.
And he's always active on Instagram. He loves the show, and he popped into Lee's music right here deep down in the bowels to offer some cookies. Actually, we did.
Aren't they awesome? They're really, really nice cookies. Here, let me grab one too.
It's nice. Yeah. Oh, yeah, grab one. Go ahead.
It does remind me, we kind of forgot to talk about what we did last weekend, though, Mike.
Well,
it was an important one.
I just think like the cookies were really well done.
Oh.
Did you get a cookie? No. Yeah, anyways. Very nice.
These are great cookies.
Shortbread.
Right? This is the perk of doing the show. Right there. This is what it's all about. So, thank you, Emma and Murray. That's really fantastic.
Fantastic.
Foulds, I mean, last weekend, though, before we go, last weekend, we have to talk about what we did.
Yeah, involved eggnog.
I like the eggnog. Blackwell eggnog is the best.
Yeah,
so
and you put it in the coffee a little bit?
Well, we wanted to buy it fresh from the source, right? And Blackwell Dairy is way up in Barnhubville, so we need a vehicle to get there.
Yeah. And it's weird how they make it, because they take the cow and they feed it nuts all year round.
And you can make eggnog with McDonald's coffee, can't you? You can.
Well, you mix it in with it, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a flavor shot.
But like you said, we had to take a Volkswagen to get there, to Blackwell, right? Which it's just burned down, but it's...
Oh, no, they rebuilt it, and they have tours up there, and Ted has the whole thing going, and it's a beautiful, beautiful area.
I think they probably have a lot of appliances in there from Gord's Appliance and Mattress Center in the new Blackwell, I think. I'm not sure. I'm guessing. We took but you, again, he's had eggnog, and he put a little bit extra rum in it. But he was already confused, too, because we tried to tell him about the rates at Volkswagen.
Yeah, flummoxed.
I was a little dizzy.
Bamboozled. Yes,
Couldn't get
comes to mind. Yeah.
4.99 on the Tiguan, on the Cross Sport, the 7-seater Atlas, amazing. You don't see rates like this, and you can never understand them. Despite the fact that he's the Rain Man, this he can't grasp.
I don't know.
No, and he's a number guy. Yeah, it's weird.
Just don't know.
Great weekend, guys. Great year last year. Looking forward to a new year with you guys. Thanks to all our sponsors, to Volkswagen, Terry, low rates, McDonald's, Brandy Seacon, Gord, Steve Rogers, Maca Ranch, the Johnsons, and the Kamloops Blazers. They're on board. We're looking for more, and we could have some big announcements coming on that front soon. 544 subscribers.
Whoa.
544.
That's good.
Ripping up towards 600. Remember when we had like 50?
Yes. Yeah.
Things are growing here at KLW. Maybe some big announcements to make soon as well. Related. What is it? What sound does a phoenix make? Can we say that? That's it. Okay, we'll leave that there for now. For Christopher Foulds, for Magic Mike, the Phoenix himself, and for Bill, I'm Marty. We'll see you last week.